see me, you can hear me well, and see my screen.
Yes, everything is fine.
Awesome. Okay, so let's start. Good morning or good evening to all, and welcome to the Data-Driven Community virtual meeting. Let's start with a few words about the Data-Driven Community. For more information, simply check the community website. I will add the link in the Q&A in a few minutes once we will start the session itself. When you are going to the website, you can scroll down a bit in the main page. Then you can see the community upcoming event. On the left side of the page, you can notice the information about the Future Data-Driven Summit. This is an annual joint conference we are leading with multiple data platform user group partners. This conference is, of course, not planned yet. We did not start it. So more information, if and when we will have, you will see on the website. The second branch of activity we run are the weekly meetings of the Cloud Data-Driven User Group, like this meeting today. And here you can follow our next upcoming meetings. I do want to mention that we are using Meetup, Eventbrite, and more registration platform. So the best way to actually follow the upcoming meeting is the website. Otherwise, you might miss one of the meetings that we open registration in a different platform of what you are following. A quick introduction to the community team. We have Jen Joseph, who is the founder and co-administrator of the community. He is here with us in the meeting. And we have Dafti Gugori, who is a moderator and event organizer. And myself, my name is Ronen Arieli. I'm from Israel, working as a senior consultant in the field of data platform and architecture of enterprise-level systems. I'm the co-administrator together with Jen, and I will be hosting the session today. Together, we are here to help and serve the data platform community. During the session today, we disabled the chat. Instead, during the meeting today, please feel free to use the Q&A feature for questions and discussions as well. Please note, Teams does not automatically refresh the Q&A feed. It's a known issue for many years. I don't know why, but Microsoft did not fix it yet. Please remember to manually refresh your Q&A panel by toggle between the all and the My Post filters, or simply close the Q&A and open it again. Be sure to check the Q&A panel often. The discussions and the links shared by your peers are just as important as the main slides and provide a lot of extra value to the meeting. This is a user group meeting, not just a lecture. And this brings me to the next important point I want to mention. You are also welcome to use reaction. It doesn't interfere with the course of the meeting. If you hear something that you like, you want to clap hands virtually, then you are free to do so. I'm honored to introduce our guest speaker for today, Dennis Torres. Actually, I'm pretty sure that anyone in the community who is coming to our meeting and event already familiar with Dennis. He spoke with our community multiple times, and in other user group and conference as well. He is well-known speaker. Dennis, please share your screen, and you can add a few words about yourself.
Thank you very much for the introduction, Ronen. So let's start. Welcome, everyone. Thank you very much for attending the session. We'll talk today about Lakehouse materialized views and how the Lakehouse materialized views help in building low-code Medallion architecture in the Fabric environment. And this is extremely useful because we can build a Medallion architecture very easily with a very small amount of code when any code is needed. So, this is me. I'm a former data platform MVP. I work at the Tower Software in Malta. I'm the Malta Data Platform User Group leader. I have some Microsoft certifications. I'm a trainer with some certifications. And you can see my contacts on the right side. My LinkedIn, my YouTube channel. It will be a pleasure to stay in touch in social media. And you have my email. You can send any questions if you would like. It will be a pleasure to stay in touch. I'm always publishing technical content. So, our agenda today. We'll talk about materialized lake views as Medallion low-code option. Let's analyze how it is an option to build a Medallion low-code architecture. How to use the materialized lake views. We'll talk about refresh types, which is very interesting in relation to the materialized lake views. It goes in a different way than we usually expect. And constraints and data quality, which is a surprise for many people. This is a very interesting feature. Then I'll close with some architectural recommendations about using the materialized views in Medallion architectures and what we need to pay attention to when doing so. What we need to plan in relation to architecture when using this feature. So, materialized lake views as a Medallion low-code option. So, options to build the Medallion stages. We can build the Medallion stages with pipelines, ingesting, copying, and moving data among the stages of a Medallion architecture, the bronze, silver, and gold stages. We can use data flows Gen 2. We can use notebooks, and these are only a few options. And we can use materialized lake views. So let's make a comparison between the other options and the materialized lake views. The other options need to be developed, even the ones that are closest to low code, like Dataflow Gen 2, like pipelines. They still require some level of development, low code development, but development. While the materialized lake view is a declared creation. You declare the view. You don't need actually to make a development. You declare the view and create the view with that declaration, simple statement. Other options are a bit heavier. The materialized lake views are a bit lighter than these options, and their execution, their refresh is managed for us. We don't need to control the execution sessions and so on. It will be managed for us. Incremental update could be very complex in the other options, but the materialized lake views have them as a built-in option. Data quality, we have data quality in the other option if we develop for that. If we develop for that, we'll have data quality reports in the other option, but is a built-in feature in the materialized lake views. And the other option is the fact that the other options are flexible exactly because it's open for the development. While the materialized lake views is restricted to what the feature allows us to do. So the materialized lake views have many advantages in being easier to create, they have built-in incremental reports, built-in data quality reports, but is restricted for some scenarios. When the materializer lake views fit well in your scenario, it's a great option to build the medallion architecture. But in some situations, you need additional flexibility. Then you need to go to other developed options. So let's see how to use the materializer lake views. They are only supported in Lakehouse with schemas. Yes, if we still have a Lakehouse without schema support, it's time to plan a migration. We have features appearing that are only supported in Lakehouse with schemas. So the Lakehouse without schema support, I would guess, not in a distant future, they will be discontinued. So you need, if you still are using Lakehouses without schema support, you need to plan for migration. Created using Spark SQL. We can't create a materializer lake view using the SQL endpoint. We need to use Spark SQL, and by using Spark SQL means that the materializer lake view can only be created using a notebook. Yes, we will need to use a notebook to make the creation of the materializer lake view. Support constraints and partitioning. Partitioning is expected, and it's great that it supports partitioning because then we can partition our materializer lake view and we can achieve better performance with the filters according to the partition. The constraint is a bit of a surprise. If we think better, it would be strange to have constraints. Why do we need constraints? Because there is a new feature, let's say new feature, the data quality report in the materializer lake views, which depends on the constraint. And it's very interesting and can be very useful in a medallion architecture. As I was saying, constraints generate the data quality report. The data quality report is based on the constraints. Incremental refresh is supported in a built-in form, so it is immediately supported, but as I will demonstrate, I'll make many demonstrations about it, it has many limitations. So many situations may happen to not support incremental refresh. We will analyze the refresh types that the materializer lake view supports. The configurations of the materializer lake views is done in a lakehouse level. There are many important and I would say even critical configurations for the materializer lake views, which are on the lakehouse level. This means you configure on the lakehouse, and this configuration affects all the materializer views in the lakehouse. Every materialized view in the lakehouse is affected by these configurations. Some would consider this as a limitation, a feature limitation, maybe. I would not surprise if in a close future this is changed. But let's see how it works. First, before even creating our first materializer lake views, we need to understand this property. Delta enable change data feed. This property, when applied over the lakehouse tables, over the delta tables, enable what is called a change data feed. And this change data feed allows other features, other objects to analyze the changes easily in a delta table. Let's summarize these in other ways for the materializer lake views. This property needs to be enabled on the source tables which will be used for the views if we want to use incremental refresh. If we start creating materializer lake views without this property enabled, we can't use the incremental refresh. It will not happen. Yes, Ronen?
I have a question from Alex. How materialized view in Fabric Warehouse are available feature? If not, is that coming soon?
This feature I'm talking about, he means, it is an available feature. It is an available feature, but let me understand better the question.
Alex, do you want?
Sorry. Alex is asking about warehouse, not lake house. Warehouse materialized views. These I don't know. I haven't heard about warehouse materialized views at any moment. These I don't know. The lake house materialized views, yes.
Okay, we will need to check it, Alex, and come back to you. I don't have the answer as well.
Okay, thank you. So, we need to ensure that this property is enabled on all the source tables, which will be used for the materialized lake views. This property is what will support the incremental refresh. What's the catch? The catch is that the materialized lake views will not tell you that. The materialized lake views will not advise you about that. If you create a materialized lake view, it will only work. It will work. But if you check how it is working, you discover that it's making full refresh all the times. It's making full refresh all the time. Without this property is what will happen. The materialized lake views will be executing a full refresh every time. I already saw some forum message in some Microsoft Fabric forums about how the full refresh was okay because it's very fast, it's not a big problem, and so on. Yeah, there may be some scenarios where the full refresh is not a problem at all. But I advise always to design and plan for scalability. For scalability, your tables in the lakehouse will grow, will continue growing, until it reaches a point that if you are using only full refresh in your materialized lake views, the environment will not work very well. Will start to take very long to refresh your views. It will start to cost too much in your capacities and so on. When in fact you just need to make some adjustments to ensure that you support the incremental refresh. Some adjustments to ensure that you support incremental refresh. And I would recommend, in a corporate level, I would recommend to monitor which developers are actually taking care of the support of incremental refresh and which developers are just building views and not caring about the incremental refresh. This may be important. So let's see a demonstration. A demonstration about the creation of the materialized lake views. First, this is my lake house. I prepared this lake house for this demonstration. Sorry, just a minute. Let me open a tool to make zoom. So here it is. I prepared the schemas in this lake house to this demonstration. I have the bronze schema, the silver schema, and the gold schema. In fact, I can change the order by date created, so I see bronze, silver, and gold. On the bronze schema, I have two-dimension tables, dimension city, and dimension product. And I have a table about sales. I use the materialized lake view to create the silver layer first. In the silver layer, what I'll do is to enrich the sales table. I have dimension city and I have dimension product. These are dimensions of the sales table. And the name of the city, the information about the product, they are located in the dimension. What can I do? I can denormalize. I can denormalize and contain a view with all the columns that I need. Let's see how would be the query to do that. So here I have a query where I get the data from the fact source, my sales table, my fact table. I join with the dimension city and I join with the dimension product. And then I get information about the dimension city, like city, state, province, country. And I get the information about the dimension product, like the name of the stock item, for example, from the dimension product. So I'm using this query to build an enriched silver layer. It's only an example, but it's showing how we enrich the silver layer by joining the fact table with the dimensions. Okay, so this is the result where I will get the city name, the state province, the name of the stock item, and some information about the sales. Okay, it's not a complete query for an analytics environment, but it's only an example that will work for our materializer lake views. Then, once I did this, I need to ensure my environment is prepared. I need to ensure the source tables I have, in this case, the fact source, the dimension product, and the dimension city, they have that property change data feed enabled. I can use a notebook for that. I can use Spark SQL, describe detail for a delta table. In this example, I'm describing the detail for fact source. Let's execute this. It's running, started the session started. So I asked it to describe the table. It brought me the details about this table. In the last field, table features, it will tell me which features are enabled. And here I can see that I have the append only feature, invariance feature, but I don't have that property that I mentioned, which is the enable change data feed. So I can use an alter table in Spark SQL. Alter table set table proper delta enable change data feed true. This will enable this property. That's it. I included the alter table for the other two, but the fact that they are already enabled. So let's check the describe or fact source. Now we see the change data feed enabled. I enabled the change data feed so it appears in the table properties. I can check the other ones as well. They already have this property enabled. I didn't have to execute, only because I prepared before the example. Okay, now let's create the Materializer Lake View. Create Materializer Lake View. I'll create in the Silver schema. The name of the view will be Sales. Partitioned by city key. So I'm creating partitioned Materializer Lake View. Table properties, delta enable change data feed equal true. Wait, I said before that I had to enable this property for the source tables used by the view. But if I understand correctly this statement, I'm enabling it for the view. The view also has this property, and I am enabling this property in the view, in the moment of the creation of the view. Why? Why am I enabling this property on the view? Do I need to? Well, not for your first view. Is not needed for a single view. But let's imagine that you want to make many views, and you reach a situation where you want to chain the views. A second view or a third view will consume data from a previous view and that join with another table or join data from two views and so on. So you have a chain of views, a lineage of views. And in this case, for all the views in the chain be capable to support incremental refresh, you need to have this property enabled. In this case, this is already an architectural recommendation. I recommend you to always enable this property on the views when you are creating the views. This third statement in the view creation, I recommend to always add it, always have it enabling this property for the Materializer Lake View. Okay, let's create a view. Let's start. It started the session, it executed the view creation. It's executing the view creation. The view will be in the Silver schema when the creation completes. It's already here. We can already see our Materialized Lake View here in the Silver schema. And it takes some moments, but the lake house identifies it as not being exactly a table, as being a Materialized Lake View. Mind the icon. The icon of the Materialized Lake View is different than the icon for the tables. So the lake house identifies it as a Materialized Lake View. And yes, it here, it's executed. It tells us that the refresh policy was a full refresh, but this is for this execution, the creation of the view. And in fact, we expect that the creation of the view will always be a full refresh. Will always be a full refresh. We expect this. Okay. So here we have our view. I can ask to see the files. And we confirm the view is partitioned. The view is partitioned by city as I requested in the creation of the view. Inside the city, we have the the Parquet files for each city. Okay. Here at the top, we have the button Manage Materialized Lake Views. Still in preview. Yes, the Materialized Lake Views are still in preview. So I can click this button and then go to the UI of the Materialized Lake Views. This UI was updated recently and it has an interesting lineage display. It shows the lineage of the materialized lake views. It's showing that my materialized lake view is getting data from my fact table, from my dimension city, and my dimension product. See what I was telling before about a low-code medallion architecture? We just declared the view. We created the view in a notebook with a declaration statement. Create materialized lake view. That's it. And the view is created, and I can see the lineage of the view in the materialized lake view interface. This view needs to have the refresh shadow. We need to shadow the refresh of the view. If I would like so, I can run a refresh. I can run a refresh right now. But all these, for example, the shadow, I can shadow the refresh of this materialized lake view, but I'm not doing this now, only for the example. And I can run the refresh of the materialized lake view, but all this is for the entire lake house. All these configurations are not individual for one view. These configurations are for the entire lake house. Once I make the shadow is for the entire lake house, all the views in the lake house. Once I run, I'll be running the refresh for all the views in the lake house. Let's run. Starting a new run. This is very interesting. It's starting and it started the run and it gives me a link to see the view details, the run details of the view. Let me get back to it. Notifications, run details. When I click in run details, I'll go to a second UI, a second interface where I can see my view running. I can see the execution of my view. In fact, I like this UI a lot. This UI was released this January, allowing us to see the execution of the refresh of our materialized view. And it was released now in January, and I think it's very nice. See, the UI updated itself. The UI updated itself to show that the refresh of the materialized lake view is completed. The materialized lake view already refreshed. Okay, that's great. But in some moments, I'll demonstrate that the UI is interesting, is beautiful, but this UI is missing an essential information that we need to have for the refresh of these views. This UI is missing one essential information. Let me open another Fabric window to navigate on this a bit better. Okay, which user am I using? Okay, let's continue like this. Okay, I can see the monitor. And here in the monitor, I can see now executed now at 18:34 p.m. the refresh of materialized lake view. The refresh of materialized lake view was executed now. I can click on it, and it's interesting because from the monitor, when I click in a refresh of our Materialize Lake view, it brings us exactly to this UI, which allow us to analyze the execution of the Materialize Lake view. That's very interesting. Okay, I can see all the refreshes from other dates, for example. I can see past refreshes from views that don't even exist anymore. And in this UI, I can also use the new to create a new Materializer Lake view. The Materializer Lake view needs to be created in a notebook. In this case, when I use new to create a new Materializer Lake view, or I'll choose an existing notebook, and the statement will be put in an existing notebook, or I'll choose new notebook and I create a new notebook for the Materializer Lake view creation. So the creation of the Materializer Lake view is made in notebooks. Great. Many of you may see this need of a notebook to create a Materializer Lake view as a problem. It makes it more difficult and so on. But in some ways, I like it. Why? Because the notebook is supported in the source control. The notebook has its own source control. So I have the history of the notebook versions. I can check the history of the notebook version, and it's supported in our source control. If I link the workspace to source control, the notebook will be inserted in the source control. So I can control the code of the Materializer Lake view, of the generation of this Materializer Lake view. And this is very interesting and may lead to very interesting architectures. I said that there are some properties which are not displayed on that window, that execution window that we saw just some moments ago. Yes, there are some properties which are not displayed there. For these properties which are not displayed there, I need to query this special table. This special table exists to contain information about the refresh of the Materializer Lake views. Sys_DQ metrics in the DBO schema. This is created for us. We don't need to do anything. The Lakehouse creates this table for us. And we need to query the table. I'm querying by the name of the Materializer Lake view and asking for a specific timestamp. The table keeps a history of the refresh of the Materializer Lake views, even views that don't exist anymore. So if I don't put this filter by timestamp, I would see the refreshes of previous text that I did in this Lakehouse. I want to see only the refreshes from this session, this presentation. And there it is. Oh, we have 2 refreshes. Yes, we have 2 refreshes. Why we have 2 refreshes? One is the creation of the view. I triggered on the view creation. The second one I triggered manually. When I went to Materializer Lake views and executed, I triggered manually the refresh of the Materializer Lake view. So we have 2 refreshes for the view sales, which is in the silver schema. It's important to always bring the field schema, which in the table is in fact called namespace. I gave this name schema, but in the table is namespace. So we can identify the view from which schema this view is. I could have sales view in different schemas. I could have a silver sales view, a gold sales view. I would only recognize by the schema. And I could drop the view and create again. how will I make the distinction about the history records if I drop the view and create again? By the view ID. That's why you need to take a look on the view ID sometimes to be sure that you are seeing the records for the correct view. But let's go to the main point. I said the UI is missing one critical information that we need to check. What's the critical information that we need to check? The refresh policy. The refresh policy is not displayed in the UI, in the execution UI. I don't know. I have no idea why Microsoft missed this one, but it's not displayed there. You can only discover what refresh policy was used if you look this query. If you execute this query, look the refresh policy in this query, then you can discover which refresh policy was used. And here we see two different refresh policies. One is the full refresh. It makes sense. It makes sense because we created the view. The view had to make a full refresh when we created the view. But then I executed the refresh again. I asked it for the refresh to be executed again. And what came as refresh policy? No refresh. This was not displayed in the UI. I would not know this from the UI. There was no refresh. I asked it to execute and it was not done. No refresh is a type of refresh in the materializer lake views. Why? Because it checks the source tables and see on the source tables, has anything changed since the last refresh? If nothing changed since the last refresh, it doesn't refresh. It just records that it attempted to refresh, but it decided to make a no refresh execution. So it didn't actually execute the refresh because there was no new record in the source tables. Okay, let's get back to our PowerPoint. And now let's talk about the refresh types. First, it's interesting to note that there is a configuration. I didn't highlight it too much until now. A configuration called Optimal Refresh Configuration. It's a button. It's there in the UI. I'll show again in a minute. A button which can be enabled or disabled called Optimal Refresh Configuration. Enable or disabled is a lakehouse level configuration in the same way as the schema and as the schedule and the execution, the run, is on lakehouse level. You enable or disable on lakehouse level. It enables one additional refresh mode. So we have by default, we have 3 refresh modes, but one only works if this configuration is enabled. We already saw 2, full refresh and no refresh, 2 refresh types. The third, you may already be guessing, is the incremental refresh. The incremental refresh only works if the optimal refresh configuration is enabled. So 3 refresh modes, 1 additional mode is enabled by this configuration. So the refresh types, no refresh, nothing changed. Full refresh, yes, the source changed, but incremental refresh for some reason is not possible. Then it defaults to make a full refresh. I said this before. The lake views, the materializer lake views will not tell you if they are not doing their work well. For example, if they are skipping the incremental refresh, they will not tell you. It doesn't even appear in the execution UI. you need to make a query to discover if the incremental refresh is being made or not. You need to make a query for that. So, if the incremental refresh is not possible to diffuse to a full refresh, incremental refresh is the refresh which you load only the changes made to the original tables. We will not load everything. We process only the change made to the original table. Limitations. These are the SQL statements supported by the incremental refresh. Select from where inner join union while and it support constraints. It doesn't support a group by. So notice it doesn't support a group by. So the incremental refresh has type limitations. So you can't just get any SQL statement and use for incremental refresh. It doesn't work. So only these expressions in SQL support the incremental refresh. If you use a SQL that contains other expressions, the incremental refresh will not be supported by the view. So you may be noticing, you may miss the incremental refresh a lot. Yes, it happens. It happens. But what's important is that you know which views you are building in your Medallion architecture that will not support incremental refresh. You need to know which views will support incremental refresh and which views will not support incremental refresh. And it will be better if the views that are in Silver, for example, support the incremental refresh. If these views in Silver support incremental refresh, they will make the hard work from bronze to silver using incremental refresh. Then you can make more complex views without incremental refresh over the result of the silver. This will make your architecture a bit more scalable. So complex query only support full refresh. What's important is that you know which one of your views only support full refresh or support incremental refresh as well. Let's see a demonstration of the refresh types. We already saw two of the refresh types. We already saw two of them. Let's see the third. Here in the files, I have some folders that we can use for this demonstration. These are additional sales which I can add to our fact source table. So I load the two tables to an existing table, fact sale. I ask to append the data. The type is Parquet, so I have one folder with Parquet files that you append to the fact sale, and you ask to load. Is still loading. Let's wait some moments until the load complete. Successfully updated FactSay table. So loaded the data from one folder to the FactSay table. Now that the data was loaded, I need to update my Materializer Lake view. I could have shadowed the update, but I didn't. I'm running the updates manually. So let's do so. Let's run the updates manually. And mind the optimal refresh, which I just mentioned on this slide. It's here, a button enable or disable on the lakehouse level. So let's run. View and details. So it's showing the refresh details about my Materialize Lake View. And refresh the run details. In progress. So it's executing the refresh of my Materialize Lake View call sales. Let's wait some moments to complete the refresh. And it's completed. The refresh is completed. Now I'll go to my SQL endpoint and I will execute my query again over this DQ matrix. And the query only shows to refresh. How? I just completed the third refresh. Why isn't the query showing the third refresh? That's tricky. And the answer for this question is because I'm too fast. The refresh just finished executing. And I just came to the SQL endpoint to execute this query. So it's not showing the third refresh yet. It was not showing the third refresh yet. Now it is. You may already be guessing what happened that made it not show the third refresh. What happened is that the SQL endpoint itself requires a refresh. The SQL endpoint makes this refresh automatically. The third appeared automatically. While I was explaining this, the third appeared. I don't need to refresh manually, but we need sometimes to wait some seconds for the third to appear. But the third is showing no refresh. It actually didn't update the table. Let's refresh again. I trigger a refresh again. Let's check the run details. Wait some moments until the refresh completes. And the refresh completed. Once the refresh completed, I can go to the SQL endpoint, execute the query again. The refresh will not be there because either I wait or I refresh the SQL endpoint. Did I load the correct table? Live demos, I did something wrong. Let's count the records. I'm sure I loaded this data fact 10 in the wrong table. Let me load again. Load to tables, existing table, and the table I need to load is, yeah, by default I got the fact sale, not the fact sale, is the, in the bronze schema, the fact source is the table that my Lakeview is using. Fact source is the table my Lakeview is using. So I loaded in the wrong table and I was expecting to see the refresh. No, it will not happen. I need to load to the right table. It's good that I created 3 folders here so it can account for my mistakes, the mistakes between the chair and the keyboard. So in the first load, I loaded in the wrong table. Let's see this refreshing again. It's running. Let me just only make one check to confirm that the property is still enabled. That property I mentioned before. So let's check the table properties and change data feed is here. Okay. The refresh is completed, so I can go to the SQL endpoint and check the refreshes which were done on the Materializer Lakeview. We will see a new refresh. It will be the 5th refresh. I confess I'm not expecting it to work on this execution because I did another mistake. But let's see the result. Here it is. Like I said, I was not expecting to work for the incremental refresh. It worked for a full refresh. It decided, no, I will not do incremental in this case. Let's make a full. Let's make a full. It did a full refresh and it loaded all these records. Why? And the number of records is different. Why a full refresh happened? Let's go again to the Lakehouse. I loaded a different folder now. And while loading, I'll show why it happened. Because I forget to change the append or overwrite mode. I choose overwrite. This means that all the data was replaced. The incremental refresh supports append, but doesn't support changes to the existing data. That's another point of the demonstration. We can't change existing data. If any change is identified in the existing data, it refuses to make an incremental refresh and defaults to a full refresh. It doesn't support changing the existing data. It supports append. So the incremental refresh will work as long as I append the data in the table. So I load again another folder, appending the data in the right table now. That's it. The data is included in the table. Now I'll go to Materializer Lake Views, run the refresh again. Let's wait the refresh complete. In some moments it will complete the refresh, and as I said, it doesn't show the type of refresh it's doing. It doesn't show if it is doing an increment or a full, or it's not doing the refresh at all. This is never displayed here. And there it is. The refresh is completed. Now, if I execute, I will not see a new refresh line because I need to refresh the SQL endpoint. Then I run, and now we see the incremental refresh. Incremental refresh, total rows processed, 280,000 rows. 280,000 rows is the total number this refresh processed. So if I quit the total of rows on the Materializer Lake view, from silver sales, around 600,000. This is the sum of both executions. See, is the sum of both executions that pass a bit higher than 600,000 records. So the view, in fact, has the records from the full refresh and now has these records plus the records from the incremental refresh. And we already saw one example that the incremental refresh only happens when we are appending records. When we are updating records, it defaults to full refresh. It doesn't refresh, it doesn't make an incremental refresh. I will reinforce this fact. I will update records in the table fact source. I'm changing the total including tax in the table fact source. Let's execute this update. That's it. I updated the records in the table fact source. Updated the total including tax for one specific set of rows, not for all rows, one specific set of rows. Okay, let's refresh the view. Run refresh the view, and you will see only some rows were affected by my update. My update updated only some rows, but it doesn't matter. The incremental refresh only works for append. It doesn't work for changes, for updates. So if I'm updating something, it will default to full refresh. It will make a new full refresh. Let's see it complete. That's it. The execution is completed. So I can go to the SQL endpoint. Same process. I mean, just to check real quick, and the incremental refresh is still the last one. Let's refresh the SQL endpoint because we are very fast and impatient. Let's run again. And that it is. Although only some records were updated by the update statement that I executed, it insisted in making a full refresh. The incremental refresh is only supported for append, is not supported for update. So because the update, it default to a full refresh. Okay, let's get back to our PowerPoint. And now let's talk about the data quality report. And the data quality report is linked to constraints. The idea of the constraints made in a materialized lake view is that we can leave records behind. We can use the constraints to filter records and tell, these records are not good for me. I will leave these records behind. When I'm saying leaving behind, I'm saying that we can do this in a gold layer, for example, and leave records behind. From the bronze to silver and leave records behind in bronze. So we can use the constraint to filter the record that you pass to the other layer. But this is the syntax of the constraint. Constraint, the expression, valid status, check. Valid status is the name of the constraint. The constraint will receive this name, and the name will be important. You'll see this on the report. And status equal open. On mismatch, drop. This means this record will not get in the table. Why would we use the constraint and not only make aware? I could only make aware in the query and that would be okay. Using the data quality report, I can check the constraints and check how many records were affected by the constraint in total or in a single execution. So we can use the constraint exactly to be capable of generating the data quality report. So for this example, I'll create a new sales view. So I'll create a new sales view with a constraint valid city, which will check the city key. This city will not be accepted in the records. Partitioned by city, enable change data feed, and I'm querying over the silver table, over the silver view. So I make one view over another view and apply a constraint. Okay, let's create this gold sales view. It's executing the creation of the view. And here it is. Gold sales view. And now I have one sales materialized view in silver and one sales materialized view in gold. And my gold has a constraint to reject one city. I don't want this view to have information about one of the cities. That's what I did in the creation of the view. The constraint rejects one city. So let's take a look on the execution. So we can see the full refresh. A full refresh is done on the sales view. See the importance to have the schema in these queries, because now I have two views called sales, one in silver and one in gold, and it's important to see the schema of the view. Okay, back to my lakehouse. Let's take a look on the materialized lake views. Refresh this visualization. And again, I have the lineage. It shows me the lineage, show my gold sales view created from the silver sales view, which is created from the three tables in the bronze layer. So I can visually see the lineage of the views. And I have one gold sales view created over the silver sales view. And we have the data quality report. Let's click on this button, Data Quality Report. Yes, Ronnie?
We are coming to the end of the meeting. I will enable chat as well now. So if people want to say a word or two, if you have questions, and you still can use the Q&A. So then let's wrap up a bit, and we are at the end.
Yeah, thank you. So the data quality report is being created. These options will be created inside the workspace. Once the quality report is created, you can access either here or on the workspace. And thank you very much for attending the session. Here you can see my contacts. You can see my contacts, and it will be a pleasure to stay in touch in social media. Thank you very much.
Thank you a lot. It's a great session. We will publish the recording once it's ready. If anyone have a final question, feel free. You can also open your camera for the final few minutes. Just show yourself, say hello, and I hope you enjoyed the meeting. We will meet again next week. I gave the link for next week meeting in the chat, and you can follow the community website for the upcoming event. Thanks a lot, Dennis, for great session. Let's wait about 1 more minute to see if we have upcoming last question. Okay, thanks a lot, everyone. We will see you next week. Follow our website. Have a great weekend. Thanks, Dennis.
Thank you very much. See you.
Bye-bye, all.
Have a nice evening, everyone.